Hello fourth graders, welcome to our math class. Today we're going to start a new chapter and this chapter is about fractions. So this week and next week while we're learning about fraction, we're going to do some addition, subtractions, and multiplication and division. But for this lesson, we're going to only focus on additions with the same denominator. So during our Zoom meeting, we briefly talked about fractions and how to calculate, especially addition and subtraction. So let me just review a little bit with you. So here is my fraction, 2 over 5. And what is my denominator and what is my numerator? So Ms. King is pretty much giving out the answer. But this number on top is called numerator and this number on bottom is called denominator. So whenever I'm doing the questions here with you, please remember that I'm going to be referring these two terms, and please get yourself familiar with numerators and denominators, okay? So let's do number 1 together. So during our Zoom meeting, I used the word boat. And I used it especially for the denominators. And this is how I describe. The number on the bottom is representing boat. And number on top is the number of passengers. So this boat, and because the first fraction and second fraction have the same denominators, they are using the same boat. That way I don't need to change my denominator because it is the same size of boat. So I'm going to keep it as it is. However, I'm going to add the passengers, the number on top. So on this boat, how many passengers are riding? 4 passengers. Excuse me. Same for number 2. This one has the same denominator of 9, so I'm going to keep it as it is. And I'm only going to add the top number, the numerators, which is 5. Some of you might think, oh, Miss Kim, why we don't add the bottom number and top number together, like 5 plus 5 is 10 and 2 plus 2 is 4. Why it's not 4 over 10? This is incorrect. I'm going to put X to it because when we're adding fractions, this is rule number 1. We need to keep the denominators the same. So I want you to do number 3 and 4 together. Number 7, let's do number 7 together. So they have the same denominator. They are using the same boat. So I'm going to keep the bottom number the same. And I'm only going to add the top number. 4 plus 2 is 6. So for number 5 through 14 is about putting them in the lowest term. So what is the lowest term? So lowest term is a fraction, a form of fraction that can no longer be divided. So this one is not the lowest term because they both top and bottom can be divided by 2. So I'm going to divide top by 2 and this will give me 3, and I'm going to divide bottom by 2, which is 4. So for number 5 to 14, it's exactly the same as 1 through 4. It's just that it has one more step, which is putting it into the lowest terms. So I want you to do number 5 through 14 on your own. Then let's do number 15 together. So there are 2 fractions. However, this fraction looks a little different compared to the one that we saw earlier. It has one whole number in front of the fraction. We call it, how do we call this? We call this a mixed fraction. When we are adding one mixed fraction with another mixed fraction, this is how we do. We are going to look at the whole number first, the number in front. So we're going to add these two first. So 2 plus 1 is 3. And look at the denominator. They have the same denominator, so I'm going to keep it the same. And I'm going to, for the last step, I'm going to add the numerators, which is 4. And once again, the question is asking us to put it in lowest term. So I'm going to divide top and bottom by 2 because they are both even number. And my final answer will be 3 and 2 over 3. This will be my final answer. Okay? See, now I want you to do, well, it says estimate. You may do estimation or you may not. It's up to you. However, it's not mandatory. And after you do number 17, number 18 through 22 will be very similar to what we've been doing here. So it should be no problem. Let's do number 24 and 25 together. This time we're adding 3 fractions. However, it's not that hard because they all have the same denominator. They're all using the same boat. So we're not going to change denominator. It's going to be the same, number 4, and we're only going to add the top number. 1 plus 3 plus 3. This will give us 7. However, this fraction looks a bit different. We have a special name for a fraction that has bigger numerator than denominator, and we call it improper fraction. And once again, this question is also asking us to put in the lowest term, and this form is not in lowest term because this is improper. So we're going to make improper to mixed fraction. How? First, because this number is greater than numerator, a denominator, this is how we're going to do. I'm going to divide 7 by 4. We know that 4 can go into 1 time, and my remainder is 3. Now we are done with our division. We can put this in mixed fraction. How? Do you see this quotient? This will become our whole number. So I'm going to put the whole number in front of my fraction. Keep the denominators the same. And what is my remainder? 3. This will be my numerator. This is how we do. Then let's do number 25 together. Once again, it all has the same denominators. I'm going to keep it as it is. I'm only going to add the top number, which is 7 out of 7. Oh, this fraction looks a bit special because it has the same numerator and denominator. And now what do we do with this? Is this the lowest term? No, this is not a lowest term. So we're going to change it into mixed fraction, which is just 1. So I want you to do number 24 and number 26 on your own. And now I'm going to move on to the second page. This one is not a fraction question. It's more like a review question. However, I still want you to complete them, and I'm going to help you out. So number 1, it says, what will it cost to rent a car for the month of May at the daily rate? So daily rate. So when we look at the chart, it had 3 sections. One is daily rate, weekly rate, and monthly rate. And number 1 is asking about daily rate. However, we need to be very careful because it's not just asking how much is a daily rate, it's actually asking how much will it cost when we use it for a whole month. then we need to do multiplication. How many days in May? We have 31 days. Because this is daily rates, I'm going to multiply 31 by 45, 50. Why 50? Why 31? That's because there are 31 days in May, and this person is renting this car every single day for 31 days. So he has to pay $45.50 every single day for 31 days. So, and you're going to find your answer, and that will be the answer for number 1. What about number 2? It's asking weekly rate, and here is weekly rate, and it's asking for 8 weeks. Then what do? I just need to times by 8. I'm going to write it here, times by 8. What about number 3? It's asking monthly rate. Here's my monthly rate, and he is going to use it for 2 months. So I just need to times by 2. Okay. And for this one, you need to find, you need to plot and label the points on the graph. So for number 5, we need to plot point A, and we all know that when the number is in bracket, the first number represents its location on x-axis, and second number represents the location on y-axis. So what does that mean? So for point A, I need to move 10 across and 2 up. So this will be my point A. However, don't forget to label them. If you just draw the dot and do not label it, I do not know which one you're doing. So I want you to do number 5 to 10, and this is comparing the fraction. We all know that 1/2 is half, and 7/8 is it greater than 7? Is it greater? So 7/8, when we look at this fraction, is it greater than half or less than half? Greater than half. And what about 3/6 and 5/10? They are both exactly half, so they're the same. Okay, so I want you to do the first page and second page on your own, and once you're done, remember to take a photo and upload it on Google Classroom. So once again, boys and girls, if you have any questions, I'm always here to help, and happy studying. Bye bye.